Hi, I'm Gillian, and I'm a renegade. Try not to be too awkward.
Oh, I haven't been able to.
More awkward, the better.
I live awkward.
We welcome Gillian House to this episode of the Renegade Podcast. Gillian's story is one of profound transformation, the kind that so many endurance athletes quietly endure, but few share with such honesty and grace. Gillian began as a passionate runner, chasing miles and personal bests with the fire we all recognize in ourselves. But beneath that drive laid a battle with disordered eating, a shadow that crept in and reshaped her relationship with food, body, and the very sport she loved. And it manifested in ways that are all too common, yet deeply personal. Restriction, overexercise, that relentless pursuit of control that ultimately stole the joy from her runs and compromised her health. Through courage, reflection, and a commitment to true healing, Gillian rediscovered not just her ability to run freely and strongly, but a deeper, more sustained version of vitality, one rooted in nourishment rather than deprivation. Alongside her partner, Joe Clark, she's channeled that hard-won wisdom into something tangible and impactful. Thrive Protein, a family-owned Canadian brand dedicated to clean, high-quality nutrition that supports real athletes in building strength, recovering well, and thriving without compromise. In this conversation, we dive into the raw beginnings of her journey, the subtle and not so subtle ways that disordered eating can take hold in the running world, the turning points that led to recovery, and how she and Joe are now helping others fuel their pursuits with integrity and abundance. Gillian, thank you for bringing your truth and your light into this space. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Renegade Podcast. We're happy that you joined us. I'm Todd, and with me,
Runkle Mark. Nice to see you, Todd.
Nice to see you too, Runkle. It's our 50th episode. Can you believe that we made 50?
50. Just like that. How did this happen?
I don't know. But we can enjoy the 50th episode of the Renegade Podcast with a Hyena IPA. Dun, dun, dun.
Ooh, with some wonderful flavor notes there. Can you describe, as it hits your palate, what you're experiencing?
I taste stone fruit. I taste some electrolytes. And it's all good because it's Hyena, brewed here in Windsor. I think it's brewed in Windsor, or it's going to be brewed in Windsor. But yeah.
Excellent. I am not enjoying the Hyena today. I've got some partake, but you know what? When in Rome. It's the holiday. Got the blonde. It's tasty. Oh, it's okay.
That's awesome.
I'm sure the Hyena is much better, and I look forward to giving that a try at some point. But this partake is a little, might have been sitting around for a while. But either way, something cold, something nice, and with good company.
The Renegade is proud to be sponsored by Thrive Protein. Power your runs and fuel your endurance with Thrive Protein, the premier Canadian-made supplement brand crafted for endurance athletes. This family-owned brand uses a science-based approach to develop high-quality electrolytes, a carbon electrolyte powder, creatine, vegan protein powders, whey protein, and super greens. And they are constantly innovating. Recently brought to market EnduraFuel, hydration and fuel all in one. Each serving offers 30 grams of carbs in a 2-to-1 ratio of glucose to fructose, 400 milligrams of sodium, 150 milligrams of potassium, 25 milligrams of calcium, and magnesium, replenishing all the elements that you're sweating out during your efforts. And it gives your body the energy it needs to perform at its peak. Plus, the lemonade flavor tastes amazing. Thrive's clean products fuels your body with natural ingredients and no artificial fillers. Designed to boost recovery, enhance endurance, and keep you strong on the trails or the roads. Thrive is perfect for any athlete chasing any distance. Visit thriveprotein.ca and use the code RENEGADE for 20% off your order. Thrive Protein. Fuel your relentless pursuit of adventure.
Yeah, Todd's become a wizard.
Well, I've been listening to you guys every time I have to cross train. So you guys have been getting me through my cross training workouts.
Nice. Well, thank you. No, really appreciate that. And how is training going for you? Are you prepping for something coming up?
I've been battling an injury.
Oh, no.
since June, I've been battling a very minor injury that I really wanted to try and get a handle on over Christmas. I trained through it all summer, all the way into the fall, and pushed it a little bit too hard. And then I decided to take an actual like season break at Christmas. So I just had a full week off of running, first time since I was pregnant last year. So, I just had my first run back today, which was really exciting. So it's going really well.
Oh, good for you. Good to hear. I need to get back at it. I've been on a bit of a hiatus lately, so it's been an extended hiatus actually. So I don't like to admit that. But
I've been hearing that in a lot of these episodes.
No, I don't know what it is. I just get a change of like work and I just haven't been getting back out there motivated. So I need to find that motivation to get there and wake up just a little bit early, because I find that like at the back end of the day, it's hard to fit in a run because come home, my girls are 9 and soon to be 6, and I only get so much time with them in the evening before they go to bed, right? So I need to restructure my day a little bit more. So we'll get there.
Yeah, you got it.
Well, I think it's even a good introduction for the podcast. Gillian, when you reached out, you wanted to share a little bit about your running journey, about underfueling, how that can manifest into eating disorders. Yeah, we can explore that because we all get into running for different reasons. And I know Mark, he always jokes about he got into running to help with his dad bod.
Yep.
And if he's not running, he's not having a good relationship with food or with stress management. Yep. That manifests into all kinds of different things for us. When you and Joe joined us last time, I don't think we had enough time to dive into your full running story, but maybe we could start there. Help us understand it. What got you into running?
Yeah, so I come from a running family. So my parents met on a pretty well-known team, track team, cross-country team, that back in the 70s up in Thunder Bay, Ontario. So they met through running and ended up getting married and eventually having kids. So running was always a part of my life. I grew up going to races. My dad was pretty involved in the running community and quite good. So I got to go see my dad win a lot of races, and he set a couple records here and there. Oh, wow. So he was pretty good. And unfortunately, like, he did eventually end up getting injured and could no longer compete. But I think that whenever you have like a running family, it's probably going to be, you're probably going to have at least one of the kids in the family see what their parents are doing and see that example set and want to participate themselves. So I was not that child. My sister actually was way better than me. So she decided to be the runner of the family, and I had asthma, so I couldn't run. I would cry and have like an asthma attack if I tried running. So Georgia, my sister, she was like half my size, and she would just kick my butt all the time. And eventually my dad and my mother split up, and my dad married another runner, and she happened to coach a running team. And so eventually she would kind of recruit younger runners to this team. And when I was 11, she suggested I come out for the team and just kind of try it out. And I was just like not for it. It was so hard. Like I was so bad. I just was terrible at it. But for the first time, I felt this like sense of connection with people that were also my age, who were a lot better than me at running, a lot better. But the sense of connection was really what got me into it. And I felt like I had met some people that I could kind of relate to, and although I wasn't very good, I got along well with them, and it just kind of blossomed from there into this team that was very small that continued to grow, and we would bring in all these new people from all over the city, and eventually there was a huge pack of us that were between the ages of 11 and 15, and we were really dedicated. So that's kind of how it started.
Wow. That's awesome. And I imagine, like, even back then when you're starting out, like, let's talk about the fueling journey as well then. Like, what were some of the things that you would bring along just as, as an early runner starter out there, and then how did that eventually parlay into what you're doing now?
So when I first started, I had absolutely zero experience, obviously, with fueling of any kind or proper nutrition. And that's something that now, as an adult, I really speak passionately about, because we do have a pretty big team of athletes on the Thrive team, and some of them are pretty young. And so I recognize just personally how important proper nutrition and fueling is for a young athlete. But unfortunately, I didn't have the same kind of background back then. So I was living off of like pizza pops. I think I ate a lot of like chocolate pudding, Mr. Noodles. I think I had Kraft dinner.
Sounds like Gillian was a trail runner.
That's the kind of food. Yeah, basically.
Sounds like my kid's lunch.
And
Just kidding.
I honestly, that's what it was. I would eat like, I would usually not eat my lunch during practice, because that's when practice was at school. And I'd have it after. So I'd be refueling with like absolute processed garbage every day. And then when I went into high school, I found that there was a very significant change in the volume of food I started eating. And that was because I finally had my own money. I was working like a paper route or something. I had my own money and I had my own freedom. And they had food available to purchase at the high school. So I started just eating like a lot of food back then. But it wasn't healthy. And so, yeah, like you can really easily go from just eating, as a kid eats, into something totally out of left field. And eventually, like for me, unfortunately, it led down a very dark path of disordered eating. So, yeah.
And I remember the food at at high school cafeteria. Even back when I went there, like we had pizza subs, we had French fries and gravy, poutine, all of those. And being a teenager, making your own decisions on that is very, very easily can get pulled down the wrong path of things that aren't giving you any kind of benefit or nutritional value, right? So, but they're so good. They taste so good, right?
I know. And it really, like, you go from elementary school into high school, and suddenly I know that you're also around a time period where you're going to be developing into an adult. But with me, it came with a 20-pound weight gain. And I was considered like a fairly competitive runner at the time. So like I had won cities for the elementary schools, like cross-country meet. I'd set the record in the 1,500 meters in grade 8 when I won the track meet there. So I was fairly competitive. I also was part of a team that went to provincials that won the 3rd place in like Ontario Provincial Cross Country Championships 2 times. And so to go from, a fairly competitive runner into a 20-pound weight gain within, I think, maybe 6 months after entering high school, there were some serious performance declines that happened due to that. And I did not make OFSA in track in grade 9, which was like devastating to me, because I went to OFSA cross country in grade 9 and I did not make OFSA track.
And then so in like a later year, did you kept up with the running though, or did you pull back from running?
So by the time I finished grade 9, this is when kind of things started getting a bit dark in the food world for me. And the reality is that when I joined my track and cross country team, I was genetically just built differently than the other people on the team. There were a lot of very small, very skinny girls on my team. And then I was always just very muscular and very athletically built naturally. And it always bothered me. Like, I always felt like, they are so much faster than me because I'm so much bigger than them. And over the years, it really grinds away at you. And it really culminated into this big effect that happened where I didn't make provincials. And in my mind, it was because I was too big. I'd gained 20 pounds. I wasn't running as fast as normal. My performance had dropped. And I was like, it's because I've gained weight. And so there was a suggestion made to me by someone in my life that also said, you're not as fast because you've gained weight. And that was it for me. And just don't get me wrong, I'm not like a medical professional. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a mental health professional in any way. But there was a perfect storm of mental health issues leading up to this that just turned into this pressure of being thin as a runner that resulted in me having an eating disorder. So when I realized, I came to this realization, oh my God, my performance is bad because I've gained weight. I went ultimate to the opposite extreme very quickly. So I think there's a lot of people out there that believe that if you are lighter, you will be faster. And that is true for a lot of cases. If you're fueling properly, if, you know, you're meant to be built that way, and you look at somebody that's a professional runner, the fastest runners in the world, many of them are very thin. So obviously society is going to think that. But if you're not fueling properly, you're not going to get anywhere. So that's my thought on the matter anyway.
Well, and I'm glad. Thank you for sharing that, Gillian. It's it's a common story. I think that's not really talked about that much. It exists throughout the sport, and it can manifest in a whole bunch of different ways. And when you think about it, going back to when we were in high school, they probably taught us a little bit about nutrition, but I don't ever remember coaches or really anybody kind of getting into the science of it. And it doesn't really take much to go on a limb to think, well, if I need to lose some weight, I'm just going to stop eating. That's a great idea. Like the thought back then was like before internets and before all kind of stuff like that, you would just try to do the simplest thing and like under fuel. And guess what? That works. It works. You'll drop weight, but then it doesn't work because you'll get a whole myriad of issues. And I think that's what kind of manifested into RED or RED-S, right? Like relative energy deficiency in sport is basically if you're trying to cut weight and lower your body mass by under fueling, you don't have enough energy you're taking in today to do everything that you need to do to train and to be a human. And it starts to manifest in you'll get fatigue and poor recovery, poor sleep, brittle bones, injuries that you just can't overcome. And we're starting to see that more and more with athletes, especially with social media when they share some of their challenges. You mentioned something though in your story, and you said how it was your nutrition, how your nutrition transitioned into disordered eating. Maybe we could help understand that. Was it just what I thought or I explained there was, someone mentioned that maybe if I lost a little bit of weight, I would be faster. So I'm just going to stop eating. Or how did it look for you?
Yeah, so for me, that was definitely the first thought in my mind. I had never really focused on calories. I had never really focused on any kind of macronutrient like carbs, protein, or fat. I had just eaten kind of intuitively, and intuitively for me was eating a lot of junk food, and that's just how it was. Don't get me wrong, I loved fruit a lot, but I also did eat a lot of garbage. And so I, in my mind, was like, okay, well, that makes sense. I'm a numbers person. You're telling me you think I've gained 20 pounds. I'm going to weigh myself. Okay, this is what I weigh. So if I've gained 20, I need to lose at least 20. So in my mind, the fastest way to do that was to stop eating, and I cut my calories way back, and I cut them back to less than 25% of what a normal person would eat in a day. So every minuscule calorie of anything I ate at all had to be counted. And it got really quickly out of hand because I don't know if other runners can relate to this, but like sometimes as a runner, you go to the extreme. You push yourself past the point of being comfortable, and obviously not eating is a place where you're not very comfortable. you're not feeling very good while you're doing it. And so I pushed myself as hard as I could and brought the calories way down and saw immediate results from it. And we know, like, through basic scientific, literature, that the first thing to go is water weight and glycogen stores. So you're talking to someone that's a competitive runner who's trying to train 6 or 7 days a week, sometimes twice a day. And now you're going to deplete all your glycogen stores, and you're relying fully on those minuscule amount of calories that you're going to get from what you're eating. So, you can go like that for a little while. Your performance probably will go down a bit, but because of the weight loss, your performance kind of like actually starts to go up a little bit. And for me, I actually ended up losing close to 40 pounds, and it was in probably about 2.5 months.
Wow.
So it was very extreme and very fast and really unhealthy. And I got really, really fast at running. And I was like, wow, like this totally reaffirms in my mind why I'm doing this. Because that was the number one goal for me. It was like, I just wanted to be the best runner. And there are lots of nuances throughout this that are like, there's mental health problems at play. This is not how all runners think or feel. This is runners who also suffer from a mental health condition can, end up in this state of mind. And it happens slowly. Like, you don't realize over time what little factors can contribute to it. And then ultimately you end up with this big dramatic weight loss. And people are like, whoa. At first they're like, you look really good. Wow, you're really fast. Wow, you're doing an amazing job, blah, blah, blah. And then next thing you know, people are really concerned. And they're like, oh my gosh, something is really wrong here. Are you okay? Do you need help? And that's how it went for me very quickly. And I made OFSA provincials that fall, but by the time I got to that race, I had been underfueling, overtraining, undereating for months, and I totally tanked in that race. It was the worst race of my season, and I was done. I was totally burnt by the time I got there.
Would you say then that was the moment where you started looking into more of a balanced way of fueling, bringing nutrition in, or what was that next step then for you to really hone in on effectively fueling and looking at nutrition and reintroducing that into your routine?
So a lot of people don't know this about me because I don't always talk about it. And it's definitely hard to talk about publicly because, people that haven't been through it themselves or that can't really relate to it don't understand. So what ended up happening was I ended up getting some stress fractures because of the underfueling and eating disorder. And that effectively ended my competitive running career at that point. Because when you get a stress fracture, you have to take several months off. And I did eventually seek some mental health support as well alongside this injury. But due to other life circumstances and other problems that I was experiencing at the time, I ended up actually suffering from a clinical eating disorder for close to probably 17 years. So it was not something that just decided to up and leave.
No.
And because of the major health problems that follow, you cannot run competitively, you cannot run at all. There's hospitalizations for things like low potassium because of electrolyte depletion, dehydration, low iron, you lose your hair. There's all kinds of horrible health side effects that happen because of it. And there were all kinds of other things happening at the time, but my running was completely out the window. And it was really devastating because that is a sense of identity. When you're growing up young and you've started at the age of 11 and your identity is ripped away from you, it made it a lot worse to have to stop running. So yeah, it was quite dramatic in that respect.
And then, Gillian, how did you find your way back into running then? So did you come back to running as a way to help you with your struggle, your battle? Or did you, like, help us understand that?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I have had people sometimes ask me, like, how did you ever get through this? If it went on this long and it was this bad, how did you ever get through it? And, you know, I really did miss running throughout all those years that I couldn't do it. I tried to get back into it several times. I went to an inpatient facility to try to get help. And when I came out, you know, a lot of it is weight restoration based. So you go in quite a low body weight and you come out a higher body weight. And then your body can't tolerate the load when you're trying to run. So I kept getting injured over and over again. And so after many, many years of struggling, I ended up going to treatment one last time, and this time it actually ended up working for me. And the first thing I did when I got out of treatment, only about, I think, 4 weeks afterwards, I ended up getting hired in a gym to work at the front desk. And so I started surrounding myself with the people that I could relate to again, which I had a huge passion for, like fitness, sport, and then I wanted to have that passion for health again. And so surrounding myself with those people really seemed to help me instead of hinder me. And because of that, I was able to then start training in the right way and fueling my body properly to be able to support like my athletic goals. That's all I wanted, was to just get back to what I missed and what I wanted. And I had felt like my life just fell apart. All of the hopes and the dreams that I had for myself were out the window. And it was really like a last ditch effort to really claw back the things that I felt like I had missed out on. And so, yeah, working in the gym was the first kind of step towards that. And I would just hop on the treadmill and I would run. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to try and incorporate some like workouts in that I used to do back in the day. And then I did those right on the treadmill. And funnily enough, I ran like 3 races right after coming out of treatment. I came second in one of them and then I won the next 2.
Oh, wow.
And that was with no training. And I was like, and they weren't like crazy fast times or anything, but I was like, wow, I just won like 2 races and came second in the other one. Like, I can do this again. It was really motivating.
In your journey too, did you find yourself having conversations or learning about others that have had somewhat of a similar experience?
I have, working in a gym, you're always going to come across people that have like a passion for this fitness, but then also can sometimes struggle with the mental health side of things that brings them to a disordered kind of relationship with exercise and food and nutrition and all that. So definitely coming across people that had been suffering currently, it was hard to see because I could relate to it so much and it just hurt so badly to see other people going through it. And that's when, you know, people would ask me, well, how did you get through it? And sometimes I felt like answering them saying like, I don't know, because like it just seemed so overwhelming to think of where I once was to where I was then. And, you know, I got certified as a personal trainer to try to like motivate me to do the right thing for health. And so then I started working with other people on occasion that were trying to put on muscle or trying to like improve their performance or trying to like do this or that. And I found that if I surrounded myself with those people, that was better for me in my recovered state or recovery kind of state that I was in. Working in the gym, I ended up meeting Joe there, which is funny. And then we ended up getting together, and that gym taught me like so much. It taught me everything I know about how to run a business. It taught me everything I know about fitness and nutrition. I took educational courses to try to be better at what I was doing there. And that passion was like ignited into what we decided to launch as our own business. And then also as our own like recreational fitness pursuits, you know, letting go of high competition running and the pressures that come with it, and just looking at it like, okay, I'm not going to be an Olympian. I'm not going to be a national level runner. Maybe I could run provincials again. Like, I'm okay, but that's okay because my worth is not my worth does not depend on my ability to run. And I love the sport. So because I love the sport, it's like I want to be able to do it for as long as possible. And to do that, you have to be fueling properly. You have to do it right.
You know, going back to something that Mark mentioned there, and your experience with, what did you find helpful when you found your tribe, your community? How was it a supportive environment? Like what aspects of it were really important when you look back at it? And did you still experience some of the negative aspects of competition and just, you know, because not everyone in that environment is always in a positive state of mind. There's always people that are maybe hyper competitive. Like, what worked well, and if you look back?
Yeah. So like I found that with the people I was surrounding myself with and their kind of state of mind, a lot of it was Joe, to be honest. He was very motivated in the gym to build muscle. And in order to build muscle, you have to be in a caloric surplus. So that means you're going to be eating more calories than your body needs, definitely not less. And so really like moving the mindset and the framing of my mind around like what calories were there for and what they could be used for. And then looking at like, okay, can I also kind of build some muscle here, which is metabolically active tissue? And instead of focusing so much on like aesthetics and like how I looked, you know, just trying to put that to the wayside and starting to look at numbers in performance instead. And so that kind of started with lifting in the gym a bit, where Joe was kind of coaching me to like lift higher numbers and lift heavier. And we were doing like a powerlifting program. And I found it really motivating to like, you know, hit a certain number on the bench press. I'd be like, okay, I can bench press 115 pounds for 3. Oh, now I'm gonna bench press 125 pounds for 1. Okay, now I'm gonna get to like a full 2 full plates, 135. Let's go. Like that was so motivating to me, and that you can never do that when you're underfueled. And then what ended up happening was I ended up getting pregnant, which was then like a very big challenge for somebody that had struggled with body image, eating disorders, and like I didn't even think that it was possible for me to get pregnant because of all that my body had been throughout the years. And so it then became more of like, okay, I'm gonna have to like fuel myself properly because I have a living being inside of me. And I struggled in that first pregnancy a lot with body image and with restricting food that really shouldn't have happened. And that was like the last time that I actually had any kind of like things that I would maybe consider symptoms, where it was like the brain says don't eat, so then I actually act on it. So the motivating factor was, again, like, you got to get through this for your unborn child. Just push through it, get through it. And if you still feel this way after you've had the baby, then you can go right back to where you were. If you really want to take back all that misery, you can go right back then. And luckily for me, I didn't want it back by the time I had the baby. So,
runners, your gear is holding you back. If you're struggling with chafing, useless pockets, and materials that feel too technical and just don't keep up with your training, let me introduce you to Path Projects, offering a complete line of gear and apparel built by runners, for runners, and today's modern endurance athletes that want to perform, train hard, and look damn good doing it. Say goodbye to chafing with Path's independent suspension design. They've separated the baseliner from the short, virtually eliminating all the rubbing and movement that traditional running shorts have. A simple design feature that makes all the difference. Less movement plus performance fabrics equals no burn, no chafing, no hot shower screams. My all-time Path favorite, their best-selling Graves PX running short built with Toray Prime Flex has a great feel while being extremely durable, and has an unbelievable amount of storage. I've been able to carry gels, my iPhone, my car keys, and even hang a clip-on water bottle off the waist. And they're built to last. Path's Tahoe CL baseliners offer an all-season performance. The cool light mesh is for the extremists. A bird's eye mesh fabric that is ultra light, super wicking, and insanely breathable. Comfort means everything. And they offer personalized performance. With Path baseliners, you have the choice of 2 fabrics and 4 lengths, 3, 5, 8-inch, and full length, which allows you to dial in a baseliner based on the current weather condition and your personal preference. And with the Path's Graves PX shorts, you have the choice of 2 fits, classic and relax, and 2 lengths, which give you the flexibility to match your short to the effort. With the right gear from Path, you can focus on your effort and getting after it. Check them out, pathprojects.com, and you can use the code TRP10 for 10% off your order for a limited time.
For folks listening, Gillian is a super fast runner. I've seen you post sometimes this summer, Gillian. You said you were getting back into it. I think, did you not set your 5K or got close to a 5K PB?
I ran a race in Alliston. It was pretty flat. But I think back when I was training competitively, I don't know that I ever ran this fast, because when I was at my fastest, I was also at my most ill. And there was a time period in there where I just did not perform at all. So I ended up running 19:38 in my 5K split in this race that I recently ran, which was pretty exciting to me because I didn't think that was possible at my current size. Like back in the day, that was like not a possibility because I do carry a lot of muscle. It's just how I'm built. And I just have to be like, all right, I accept it. And then move on and then just train for performance. And so, yeah, that was the highlight of my fall. And I was really focusing on half marathon training throughout the summer, which ended up resulting in a faster 5K, which is so funny. So.
That is good. That's, we've talked to a few coaches over the years where they kind of recommend the reverse: get really super fast in your 5K and then go race a half marathon, and you'll get really good in your half marathon. But what Gillian's saying here might work. If you train for a half marathon, you can usually run a PB off of a great fitness. But it has to go to like the strength training you're doing, Gillian. So walk us through like a week. What does your week look like from a training perspective nowadays? You have 2 young daughters. You're a business owner. Mm-hmm. You're working lots. Like, what does a week look like for you?
So this might not sound the most balanced, but I typically do train like 7 days a week in some respect. I'm active every single day. I was doing a training program up until my most recent season break where I would do like an easy run on a Monday. I do a tempo on a Tuesday. I do an easy run on a Wednesday, easy run on a Thursday. I do intervals on Fridays, easy run on Saturday, long run on Sunday. But then I also have to work in 2 strength training sessions in there, which sometimes come after those harder days. So after the tempo or after the intervals. And then on days where I'm not feeling recovered enough to actually run, even if it's an easy run, then I cross train. So I do the elliptical or the spin bike. And definitely if I'm having any injury pain, going to be cross training, much to my disdain. And yeah, so those sessions are usually, 45 minutes to the longest long run I did was just about like 2 hours. And a lot of it is extremely strategic planning as far as time management, because, having 2 young kids, it's very hard. Luckily, I have a supportive partner who also is into fitness, who understands the struggle and is like, this is high priority. We got to get this in no matter what. And I also have like some childcare help, and at the gym that I train at, they also have a stay and play option for the baby. So I drop off the baby and I go do my thing and I come back and then, yeah. But that's what it looks like. And, as far as fueling goes, I usually try to, I always make sure I have carbs before a workout, no matter what, whatever form of carbs I'm going to get in, I have to have the carbs before the workout. And then if it's going to be at least an hour or more, then I'm going to be fueling during the workout as well. If it's anything under an hour, I typically don't fuel unless I've gone into it without eating something first. Or if I'm in a state of like major glycogen depletion, which you can always feel. You just feel like, ugh. If I go into it feeling like that, then might be fueling throughout that workout as well.
So then what would be your top 3 products then of your own, I guess, portfolio or whatever, your options of everything that you have at your fingertips? Like, are you just grabbing something off the shelf and bringing it with you? Or like, do you have certain flavors that you're drawn to that are just, Gillian's like, this is what you have every single day? Or do you mix it up? I mean, you have a variety to choose from, right? So
yeah. So we obviously have one open tub of every product we carry at my house. So our countertop in the kitchen is full of like our products. I also do use other companies' products for fueling. Like I take gels with me when I run too. So obviously recently I've been using our EnduraFuel, which is the newest product for fueling on the long runs. But I like to kind of combine that with a gel to see if I can really amp up the carbs as much as possible if it's going to be a really long run. Because you don't want to carry a giant bottle with you. Like, I don't have one of those backpack dealios with I'm not a marathon runner, so I don't carry those. I have like a tiny little water bottle, so I can mix 2 scoops of the EnduraFuel into that, which is 60 grams of carbs. But if you're going for longer than an hour, you need more. So I bring a gel with me. I'll usually use like a Morton gel. So shout out to Morton, I guess. But my absolute go-tos for my product line every day, I'm going to be sweating every day, so I always use Hydrate. I use that in every workout. I use blue raspberry usually. And then I often do a greens every night, mango pineapple greens. I do a protein shake every day. Lately, I've been doing the matcha protein every day. If I'm having a rough day with planning food, I will do 2 protein shakes in a day. No judgment.
And I see you have the iced coffee behind you there too as well. Or that's so the protein coffee.
Yeah, it's so weird. In the summer, I do the iced protein coffee, and in the fall, I want the matcha. And I just have this weird
it's okay.
It's like a weird matcha thing that happens in the fall. It's like Starbucks is advertising matchas at me. So then my brain's like, I need matcha protein. Yeah. I don't know.
Is it pumpkin spice or?
Oh yeah, we need pumpkin spice next for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then obviously I take creatine every day too, which we spoke about in our last podcast about the benefits of creatine. So it's definitely an important one, but that's not as fun because it doesn't taste like anything. So
yeah, it tastes like nothing. You mix it in, and I took creatine. I did it over the summer for about 3 months, and then as the fall came, the weather changed. I got out of it a little bit, but I did it myself. I ended up running pretty darn close to some PBs. I felt stronger. So definitely probably built a little bit of muscle. I wasn't doing any weight training or anything, so I probably wasn't getting the full benefit that the creatine can provide with recovery, like you and Joe were sharing with us. But, I was thinking about this as you're going through there and, like our own experiences. And I can just look back to when I kind of started to get into running. I read every book out there, like, every magazine. I was always into everything. And the one thing that I was always surprised, or I'm finding more surprising now. Like we just did an episode with Dr. Phil Maffetone, and Mark and I always joke about the serendipity. Like there's always like we can weave things together. But how the unhealthy food, the unhealthy carb, those refined carbohydrates, the packaged everything that we had when we were young growing up, that when you're first starting off working and eating packaged everything, how that actually messes up your brain and it causes inflammation in the brain. And that's what Dr. Maffetone was saying in his latest research paper with Dr. Paul Larson, I believe, is that they've linked all these inflammations in your brain being the root cause of refined carbohydrates. But then when I heard about this, I was always like, well, stay away from carbs, stay away from carbs. And that wasn't the right thing. Mm-hmm. It's stay away from the refined carbohydrates, but definitely eat the healthy carbohydrates, the plants, the vegetables, and the fruits, everything in moderation. Because I think Dr. Maffetone told us that if you are insulin sensitive or insulin resistance, You sometimes have to stay away from some of the fruits. But if you're not insulin sensitive, you can eat some of those fruits. And that was the one thing I took away. If I could go back to tell a younger Todd, would be there's a difference between the refined carbs and the healthy carbs that you can get. I don't know. What advice would you give a younger Gillian?
So I, first of all, totally agree with the refined carbohydrate thing in your day-to-day meals, right? Like, I'm really bad right now for eating, like, they have these things that I eat all the time. You know how runners love bagels? They're basically like a substitute for a bagel where it's like it's called morning rounds. I just chuck it in the toaster and I eat those, and they're just like, I just smash like 3 of those every day. It's so bad. So I wouldn't really call those like non-refined carbohydrates. But what I would tell a younger Gillian is that, yes, like you can consume, refined carbohydrate in your training,
Right.
because it's the fastest way to get it into your bloodstream, and that those like ways of getting carbs don't count. Okay, you're using it as fuel in your training. You got to get it in fast. You're not going to be out there eating a pizza while you're trying to run or like whatever. You're going to take it in as glucose, fructose, 2 different mechanisms into the bloodstream. Boom. So throughout the rest of your day, you should really try and eat something that's a bit more healthy and full of fiber and nutrients. That's what I really aim for now, is nutrients. Like, if you need a high source of carbohydrate, eat like a sweet potato. They're so good for you, and they taste really good, and they're going to help you get fueled for your next session. Or even a regular red potato or whatever. Do I eat a bit more like white rice than I probably should? Yeah. It's just sometimes it tastes better with the food you're eating, and that's just the reality. So you can't be on this like 100% of the time situation. 80% of the time is usually a pretty good rule of thumb. If you're eating healthy 80% of the time, you're probably doing a good job. And the other 20, you can leave for pleasurable food that is supposed to be a part of eating, because we're human and we're supposed to be able to enjoy food occasionally. And so, yeah. So not focusing so much on, I guess, rules is also something I would tell my younger self.
And I know we talked about, well, we just briefly touched on a bit earlier about the EndurFuel, but what is your process of developing new product and just with this right now too? Like, was it a big process on your side for you, Joe, or is it something that came together fairly easily now that you have a number of other products under your belt? How did that go?
Yeah, it's actually a really fun process in that we get to kind of experiment with different ingredients and how they work together harmoniously to create what we're kind of trying to do. And also like taste and everything is a big factor. And we really we try everything on the market. So our house is also full of every supplement company's product. Like, it is hilarious because if people that don't know why we're doing this come into our house, they're like, wait, don't you guys like own a supplement company? Why do you have Scratch, Morton, Tailwind? You've got like all the brands in your house. So we test everything that's on the market ourselves. And with the EndurFuel, we really wanted something that was close to like what Scratch had done, in that it was at least a decent amount of carbohydrate. We chose 30 grams per scoop because Scratch was only 25, and we didn't really think that was enough, because you want to get at least 30 grams per hour of exercise at a minimum. Many people shoot for 60, many people shoot for 90. So we made it easy to kind of scale up as well. And then we also wanted to add that electrolyte blend in. So after seeing what other people were doing on the market, we decide to go with a Canadian-made option for people, because there's nothing else out there that's made by a Canadian brand on the market that does the same kind of thing as the carb electrolyte blend that EndurFuel is. And then the other aspect of it is we have to taste everything. So we do like a full panel. We taste test all the different brands out there. We use them in training to see how they affect us with the GI, with does it make me feel like I'm going to hurl when I'm running? Does it stick to my face? Does it get all messed up in my bottle? Like, what's happening here? And then we try and solve those problems when we develop our product. And I think we did a really good job with the EnduraFuel, because when we put it into production, we don't have it anymore. So by the time we get it, it's like 5 or 6 months later. And I'm like, wow, like, this is so much better than what I've been using, which was Scratch. No offense, Scratch. I just really like loved it. I was so excited when I finally got my hands on it, because it wasn't all sticky and like,
Yeah.
so
Caking in the bottle.
yeah, it's
and
actually a really
everything.
fun process.
Oh, that does sound like fun. That's great. And how? So you mentioned a couple of different things there with comparing to Scratch and that too as well. And did you run into other brands that have like the cake up situation where it like destroys the bottle, or any kind of other like side effects that you're like, how did they not weed this out during their test process?
I was trying another, I think it was the Tailwind high carb or something. And I had that one with me when I was in England over the summer to test it out while we were developing this. And it like was like a giant coagulated glob at the top of my bottle. And I was like, like, how am I going to get this out while I'm running? Like,
Yeah. Oh my.
yeah. So that was definitely an issue. Scratch wasn't too bad. It was just that it left a very sticky sensation on my lips and in my mouth. But I mean, we're not perfect. So we definitely have had our fair share of challenges since we launched the EnduraFuel. We didn't test it in winter training. So we've had a couple of freezing instances while we've been out for long runs, but
That's okay. It turns
And of
into an
course-
icy. That'd be wonderful.
well, of course it doesn't happen when you really need it, right? Like in the summer, if you're running with like a nice slushy popsicle taste, like that's great, but that would never happen. It's
Well, I know myself. All summer I used your hydrate, the blue raspberry. I love the blue raspberry. I ran the JFK 50, and that one's kind of broke it up into 3 sections. So the first 25 kilometers on a trail, I brought it on my bottles, and I had my electrolytes throughout the first 3-4 hours of that run. And I loved it because it's just a good flavor. Like, you nailed it with that blue raspberry. And I know this one. I like the idea of getting the electrolytes and the glucose and fructose together, like, because sometimes before I'd have to bring a pill or the pills, like I had precision hydration ones I would take every hour. They're like, you can do 2 together. And when I run my half marathons, my marathons, Gillian, I usually bring water bottles with me, and I'll bring extra packages and mix it. So I like to run with my own water, even though you're running with a little bit of extra mass with the water and fuddling around with it. I can run through the aid stations a little bit quicker sometimes because I'm just there to fill up water and move faster. So I love that blue raspberry. Fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, we've had a lot of very positive feedback with it, and I really think that the flavor was really nailed in. It's hard to figure out what does a blue raspberry taste like. It's not a thing in nature, so we had to kind of experiment a bit with that. But yeah, it's been really good, and it's been a really exciting product that we launched, especially being recreational athletes ourselves, because we did just start with protein. That's why we started as Thrive Protein. And we realized we were missing a whole bunch of things that we needed. So we just, everything that we use ourselves, we're like, okay, let's just add this in. Okay, let's make this. Let's do that.
That's great. So you mentioned earlier, so growth has been something that you've experienced this past year with the company, and you're getting to a point where adding some more employees to the team there. What else are you looking forward to in 2026? We're at the very beginning of the year now, so what do you have ahead?
So we are going to be bringing on some new products in 2026. First thing I think that we're getting is going to be our omega-3s. So that's something we use personally, and we keep just funneling money into some other company that sells them. And we're like, you know what, we could bring these on. So we've sourced a really scientifically dosed omega-3 that actually has like, you know, the right amount of DHA and EPA in it, rather than you having to take like 15 capsules of it per day to get like what you're supposed to get. So we've sourced that. We're really pumped about that. And we have a bunch of other things coming as far as product line, but another thing that's exciting is we're going to be moving the entire product line over 2026 into bags. So we're getting rid of tubs. and we're going to be in bags. So this is one of the bags that we've created already. It's going to be really exciting. We wanted to do it ages ago, and it's a very large logistical undertaking. So we finally been able to plug some resources into it. Joe had to design that entire thing. He had to figure out the size. Like, he is just a champion when it comes to logistics and product development and stuff. Like, he just knows so much. So luckily it got done.
That is awesome.
And what is the?
I'm excited, Mark. I have to go back here. Like, you know what, Gillian? I can't wait because I'm throwing money every month away to omega 3s too. I take about 3,000 to 4,000 milligrams a day. So I usually 4 pills a day because I'm trying to get around like 3,000 to 4,000 of DHA and EPA, and that was coming from the Huberman podcast where you get the mental benefit from about that kind of dosage. I've been doing that for about 2 years, so
that
I'm
explains
definitely going to be your number one
That
customer.
explains it, Todd. That's it right there.
That's it.
No, that's
So sharp.
yeah, that's it. I find, this might be a funny kind of side comment though, but so I'm on omegas as well. But I find that if I have more than 2 of the larger pills, that I get extremely oily skin from it. So,
Interesting. Well, I hope that's not why I have oily skin.
But that's what I found. Everyone's different, right? But I know that when I started introducing them in, I'm just like, okay, I have naturally oily skin though too. So, but it's just heightened when I have it. So that's where I'm trying to find a balance. So if you can find a way to
yeah, maybe it's the
be a
source
test
of the
subject for
fish
you.
oil.
There, you could do that, right? But
Yeah.
no, that's exciting. So it sounds like a lot of great things ahead, and great to hear about the bags too as well. And like, is it more that you're able to then ship more, or is it more the overall, I guess, recycling, environmental? Like, what are some of the main drivers for moving over to bags versus the buckets?
Well, first of all, the black tubs are actually not recyclable in a lot of jurisdictions.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
we didn't know this. We really like our black tub branding. Like, that's what we were like, okay, our brand colors are going to be black and orange. We're going to go with that. And when we started, we just had what was available to us, which was a black tub or a white tub, and black looked better. So over the years, we learned that it's not recyclable in jurisdictions. So people are having to throw it in the garbage, and we don't like that. And bags take up a lot less space. They are not recyclable, these bags, in a lot of places. So what ends up happening is, believe it or not, when they are recycled, the recycling people don't believe that they're recyclable, and they won't take your recycling.
Oh.
So they'll look and be like, no, that's not recyclable. It's in your bin. We're not taking it. They'll put a tag on your bin saying, try again next week. And so we don't want that to happen. So we didn't end up going with recyclable bags, but it does reduce space waste and obviously the tub waste. And when we're shipping, we're going to be able to ship larger volumes to some of our retailers, as well as like space, because we have outgrown the space that we're in so many times. It went from a little bedroom in my house to the hallway, to the kitchen, to my bedroom, to the other hallway, to our entire dining room. And we're like, okay, we got to get this out of the house. So that's kind of where we really wanted to do it ages ago, but you have to meet minimums, and we didn't have the minimums at the time. So
Yeah, fair enough. Well, it's a great problem to have, though, right? The growth piece.
For sure.
And having the options. That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And what's on the race schedule, Gillian, in 2026? What races are you eyeballing that you're going to hope to train for?
Oh, you guys are going to love this one. So Harvey has been in my stories just like pushing this Windsor
that's Harvey.
Waterfront Half Marathon 2026 like relentlessly. And I am a very big sucker for advertising. So Harvey's just in my face every day, and I couldn't get enough of it. So finally I'm like, all right, I'll register. And so I've registered for the Windsor Waterfront 2026 Half Marathon on September 13th in Windsor. So that is going to be my fall A race next year. And then I am entertaining the notion of a spring half marathon with all things taken into consideration with this injury I've been dealing with. So hoping for the best with that. we'll either do Georgina or maybe Toronto or maybe Mississauga. It just depends. So.
Oh, very nice. That's good. And so then Harvey, I know Harvey's an avid listener, and he was on the last podcast. We recorded one with Carl Meltzler, and it's coming out in a couple weeks. And he was talking about his discount code. I'm like, Harvey, I love this discount code. He's going to set the world record for people using the discount code. I love it.
Oh, he's so creative. I love his videos too. So
You better believe I use that discount code.
And it's a great race. Like, we ran it this September, and you were texting us and talking to us afterwards. What I loved about it, it was like a half kilometer, maybe 500 meters short. I love those kind of races because you set your PB because it's a short distance. But hey, you can't. You just got to run from start to finish. It doesn't really matter. It still counts as in my book. But everyone at the end was like, Strava's, this is short. And I'm like, stop worrying about Strava.
Strava.
You ran your PB. No one knows it's short except you.
Are you gonna? But you have to keep running. If you, I was seeing this at some of the full races that we were doing. We were supporting last year. Was some of the people, they kept running if they didn't hit the 10K mark. I saw them just book it down the street.
just like Forrest Gump, they just keep going.
I think that kind of goes to your the earlier conversation that we were having. You know, runners, we have that innate ability in us to get hyper-focused, hypersensitive on things, whether that could be our weight, our nutrition, our distances, finishing every run, rounding up to an even number. Like, I was that way. I'm trying to be less that way over the last couple of years, and it's helping a little bit. And now, like, I don't even care. Like, I'll end a run quicker, or on an odd number. I don't round up to 10 kilometers or 11, something like that. But maybe that goes to that earlier conversation that we were having. Is runners, I think we find running as a way to help us deal, be with life, and it can help you. But you can get easily pointed in the wrong direction, and then it manifests. And, do you run to help you, or is running controlling you? It's one of those old adages, right, at the end of the day. So, yeah, I would say for folks listening,
Yeah.
if you are those runners who are maybe a little bit too hyper-focused on all the little details, take a step back, relax, look around, listen to some good music, have some fun on the trails, on the roads. Don't get too hyper-focused on the exact finish time you need.
Yeah, I'm definitely guilty
Yeah,
of that.
trying to find that balance, right? Like, numbers are fun. I love to finish a run I always make sure I don't get dinged by the Strava tax. I've definitely run a few laps around my driveway to make sure I got the right.
I have to do 5. Like, it's usually that's what I do is just 5K, and so I run from my house through the cemetery and back. And sometimes if I stop to talk to somebody and forget to start the watch back up or anything, then you can see me just like running a little bit further past my house. But basically from driveway, like from where I start to where I end, I've got it down to like within 10 meters. So it's always ending at 5K. So, but yeah, I need to let that go too. So
Yeah.
And Gillian, any trail races on the schedule? Are you going to take to the trails and maybe enter into an ultra one day?
So I've heard that trail running is like a different sport altogether. And it was funny because when I was looking into some of the pro runners that have suffered from disordered eating in the past, I came across Molly Seidel, who is best known for being the third finisher in the Olympic distance in the marathon in 2021, technically. So she has publicly spoken about her struggles with disordered eating, and unfortunately, what often comes with that is lots of injury. She split her kneecap in half, like some crazy stuff. Like the amount of pain you must be in to split your literal kneecap in half is just crazy. And so she has now moved on to running ultras and trail running. And it is just like hearing about it through some of what I've listened to is just, there's so much there's different vibes going on there. I'm still in that state of like extreme competition brain, which is like, I need to go the fastest I can possibly go from start to finish, no questions asked, no aid stations, no talking, it is a pain cave from the beginning to the end. And it really sounds like the trail running and the racing out there is a lot more balanced and relaxed and a totally different vibe. So I think that it definitely sounds like something interesting to look into when your body just doesn't want to do these like really high impact races anymore, like road racing or track racing. If you've been injured or you've suffered from, you know, energy deficiency, like, you know, relative energy deficiency in sport, for example, or low energy availability, and because of that you end up with like a bone stress fracture. Get out on the trail and it's nice low impact.
Yeah. And you hit the nail right on the head there. One thing I notice when I take to the trails, and I've done a few of the ultras, but I'm not going to do anything higher than a 50 miler because that's a long day. I couldn't imagine. Although over Christmas I was watching Arrowhead 135. It's in Minnesota. It starts at the end of January. It's 135 miles, and you have to like drag a sled behind you for some reason. Yeah, I know. I don't like the cold, but I watched it. I kept watching all these documentaries about it. So there's no way I'll ever qualify because it's 135 miles. I like sleeping too much. But where I was going with it is when you go to the ultras, the one thing that you'll notice the difference between the ultra and a marathon is an ultras, everyone of all shapes, all different sizes, all different colors, all different hair colors, you name it. It's just a welcoming environment. And there is no like, let's say, you know, 5 foot, 95-pound lead pack person who's, you know, winning the marathons. They don't exist in the ultras because you need a lot of muscle mass. You need a lot of like staying capacity. And you know what? I think I finished like 600 out of 1,200 runners in JFK. And I got blown away on the course by people who were stronger than me, thicker than me, taller than me, smaller than me. So there is no one way for that you kind of see in the shorter distances at the track events and the marathons. So that's my kind of affinity. It's a really cool vibe, welcoming, and you know what? They have really good aid stations on the course too, so you can have all kinds of good snacks. And it's good times.
Yeah. It sounds like it's a really positive environment and a really, you know, less kind of judgmental environment, right? That sometimes, you know, you can just, it might be in your own head though, if you're in the, you know, track or the marathon environment and you think in your own mind that you have to be a certain way, that could be in your own head. But it sounds like the trail running community is very welcoming. And I think a lot of highly competitive former track runners and former road racers do move on to the trail running in their older age. And apparently most of the field in trail running is considered masters from what I've read. So there's got to be a reason for it, right? Your body can only handle so much pounding on those roads.
Yeah. Yeah, like we were talking to Carl, and Carl's finishing up 100 milers. That's what he wants to do. I think he said he has 7 more to go.
That's right.
He did 7 this year. And
It's a machine.
it was just fun. He's 57, so I guess he started ultra running professionally when probably about 30, when he was 30. But yeah, like the staying power, and they say with ultras, as you age, you get better. Like you hang on to your endurance. So that's an interesting aspect of it too. But I'll go back to something you just said there. That's an advice I'd like to give a younger Todd too, is don't listen so much to what others actually are saying. Sometimes people are saying stuff without them even thinking how you're interpreting it. And the advice I would give a younger Todd is they're not thinking about you. And if someone says something to you, like I grew up, I was always overweight. I maybe found some fitness at university, lost a little weight, but when I started working full time, the weight came right back on. Why? Because I was eating stupid and I was drinking lots of pop every single day. And when I found running, I was able to lose a little bit of weight. At the same time, I got my diet in order too. So you can't, the old adage, you can't outrun a bad diet, is so true. But that's the thing, is maybe just don't listen to what people were teasing me and telling me when I was younger. Because it did, like even as a male, I'll still look in the mirror. I'm 47 now, or 48, geez, I can't remember, 48. and I'll look and I'll say, you know what? I still see myself as like the 20-year-old overweight Todd. And it's something that you have to just deal with every single day. And you know what? I think none of us here are going to be winning marathons or winning being professional runners. And so you go back to why are you running? Are you running for your mental health? Are you running because you enjoy running? And I think just, you know what, that's the advice I'd give younger Todd. I don't know. Mark, what advice would you give younger Mark?
Well, I think younger Mark, even last year Mark, be like, hey, get back out there. Because
sign him up to a race. We'll sign you up to a race. Is that?
Yeah, exactly. You know this, Todd. Like, I feel that when I was out running, and it's just that regular physical activity and having that routine, you know, I think mentally I had more clarity. I feel like in the last year there's a lot more brain fog, and it could be related to me just not getting out as often as I used to, right? So, so I would say that, yeah, it's just getting out there and doing it. Like, there's always going to be a million excuses, and this is what I'm telling myself right now. Even just a million excuses for not getting out
Mark's
there.
going for a run after the podcast.
I'm thinking about it. But it's. I know, Todd, you've mentioned it before. There was the book about, it's just the 5-second rule too. It's just when your eyes open up, it's like count to 5 and just like pull yourself out of bed and like knock those things off that are on your list that you want to do, that you know will make you feel better. And I know I always felt great after a morning 5K, come home, shower, get ready for the day, make my kids, you know, their lunches and breakfast and whatnot. And it was just, that was my time of the day that was carved out to be with nature. And whether I was listening to a podcast, something for, you know, personal growth, it was that time that I could, you know, bank on each day having. And I feel that since I haven't had that I've seen the difference. So yeah, get back out there, tie up those shoes and just run, right?
I think you just talked yourself back into running. That's what I heard. I don't know what you heard, Gillian.
Harvey's going to talk me into signing up for a half marathon too. So
Yeah, are we going to see you in the fall?
You know what? If I can get myself back together here, I think it would be, as you know, the first race I ever participate in. So it's been this is our third season, Todd, and I still haven't signed up for one. So
that's right.
You've got
Gillian,
9
you're
months. Come on, let's go.
Months? Is that enough
9 months,
time?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. For a 5K, absolutely, Mark. That's
What
enough
about for half though? Like I don't want to just do.
Oh,
it.
yeah.
It's enough for a half too.
Yeah?
It's enough for a half too.
Okay, you know, get some Endurafuel in me and some gels and some, you know, everything. I'll just follow
That's right.
a plan here for nutrition. I'll get myself in shape. So we'll see.
And for you, Gillian, as if you had a parting piece of wisdom that you could offer the listeners on how to be a better runner in 2026 from a nutrition aspect or a mental health aspect or whatever aspect, what would that nugget of advice be?
Okay, first thing I would say is definitely don't limit your carbohydrate. Do not limit your carbohydrate. But in all seriousness, I think honestly in both training and nutrition, I really like the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time in your training, you're going easy. 20% of the time, you're going moderate to hard. In your nutrition, 80% of the time, you're eating very healthy. That's like whole foods. You know, you're getting enough macros, carbs, fat, protein. You're getting enough calories, but you're getting them from whole food sources. 20% of the time, you're having a bit more fun with food. And also, that can go into the rest of your life. You know, just try to do the best that you possibly can 80% of the time, and the other 20% of the time you might, you know, do things wrong, or things might not go the way that you planned, or you might do something silly, and you just have to get back to that positive 80% and just keep going. So that's kind of what I would like to see going into 2026. It's a more balanced approach. It's not a black or white approach. It's not a all or nothing approach where you're trying to be the very best all the time or you can't do anything at all. Because I've been in both those spots and neither one were very good. So having a nice even keel is where it's at.
That's great advice.
Wonderful.
That's great advice.
Great. Well, Gillian, we thank you so much for your time and for being, you know, part of the Renegade Podcast and part of our team too as well. And we absolutely look forward to what Thrive has coming forward in 2026. And who knows, maybe we'll see you out there in Windsor in September, but not making the commitment yet. So
We'll see you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I hope to see you guys both at that race.
We thank you for listening to the Renegade Podcast. Each episode, we dare to practice the lost art of conversation to better understand this thing we call life and the human connection that we have with running and endurance sport. If you enjoy the Renegade Podcast, could we ask for a favor? Head on over to our YouTube and click subscribe, and like our podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Your engagement helps keep the Renegade Podcast growing and going. If you have a show idea, a comment, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email, runegadepodcast@gmail.com. That's RUNEGADE podcast@gmail.com. We have a great list of guests coming up that we're looking forward to sharing another conversation with you. Head on over to our link tree, check out our sponsors, our friends of the podcast. We have great discount codes that, thanks to them, they're offering you, the Renegade listeners, to save some money on the best running gear, apparel, fuel, and nutrition. We thank you for listening. And remember, in a world of runners, be a renegade.